Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the newly released Full Mechanics 1-100 scale Calamity Gundam. Now, this released yesterday in Korea, which was a Saturday at Gundam Base, which I bought and finished building it last night. And apparently after posting my finished build on this kit, a lot of you guys were asking some certain questions, and some of these questions were really good, while some other questions were kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, so, first of all, I would like to talk about the Reborns 100 Full Mechanics. What's the big difference, or what's with the name change? Here is my personal opinion regarding that. Now keep in mind, this is my personal opinion. You don't need to agree with me. This is not a fact. This is just how I personally consider these two names. Number one, I always consider them to be the same. Reborns 100 Full Mechanics, they're the same thing. The only difference I personally thought was that Reborns 100 was Universal Century mobile suits. Full Mechanics are non-Universal Century mobile suits. And so far, yeah, if you look at the list, it does actually match out. And another thing, like, these are 1-100 scales, but that doesn't mean it's a master grade kit. Just because we mostly see master grades in 1-100 scale, that doesn't mean a 1-100 scale automatically becomes a master grade. That's not how it works. There are no, if you look at the past, there are no grades 1-100 scale kits, and I have reviewed a good amount of them. Some were very old, some were still, you know, and some of them existed before the master grade kit version of the kit came out. So yeah. And those kits were okay, although some of them can be sticker heavy because they didn't have the same amount of color separation at the time and not the same technology while, you know, making the kit. So that's that. So once again, that was my personal opinion. If you have a different opinion, do let me know. But yeah, unless the company comes out and actually makes an official announcement of like what the two difference is, yeah, there's no way of telling. All right, so. And then another question was asking whether this can fit like a striker pack or whatever. That part I cannot exactly show you guys, but based on the kits I have, I'll show you guys what I mean by that. But still, let's get into the review. Alright, so let's see what we get. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the Calamity Gundam itself. You have the mobile suit, you have all the weapons that it's supposed to have. So you get the bazooka, you get the two beam cannons on the back, and then there's one on the chest, and then you get that really unique shield. And I really like that shield as well. And obviously the main mobile suit itself. And hand-wise, you get one set of hands, but we get some extra fingers. So that's that for the main components, and here are the little stuff and leftover stuff. So number one, we do get an action-based connector here. Nothing too special regarding that. Here we have another leftover piece. This is because they, as far as I know, is because there was a double plate kind of thing going on, so they had a repeat of the face inner frame part as well. That was it. And then here is the other hand. So currently this is meant for the right hand, but the right hand is currently using a bazooka, and they actually do give you a trigger finger hand that is meant for this bazooka. Hence we have this part as a kind of a leftover, but not exactly. And here we have the sticker sheet and the decal sheet. So the sticker sheet, I was really surprised. We only get 4 stickers, and this was the eye, head camera, and then the scope camera for the bazooka. That's very good. And then here we have a sticker decal sheet. Once again, I really don't care about these, because unless in the anime, if these details like decals or like warning labels or these symbols were actually shown in the series, I would actually care to apply them. But since they're usually not, I usually don't apply these. Alright, so now let's get into the review. So I was really impressed by this kit because, first of all, I'm pretty sure no one actually saw this coming until the announcement. I was really surprised. And yeah, this was definitely a interesting mobile suit. I actually had some interest of this specific mobile suit at some point, but after, you know, getting into like mass production type mobile suits, it kind of, you know, that interest kind of fade away. But it's really good to see this kit actually getting some attention. Now, main reason I purchased this is hoping for a premium Bandai exclusive sort of Calamity Gundam, and I do want to see the other to complete the trio. I do want to see a Full Mechanics 1-1 scale Raider Gundam and maybe the Forbidden Gundam, because those are definitely unique mobile suits if you ask me. Alright, so we're gonna go with articulation, but before that, I'm just gonna take off this arm, because once again, one thing I was worried about this kit is that because with all this stuff going on, I thought the kit would be extremely unbalanced and it would be wobbly to some point, but it's actually pretty stable. Alright, so now let's get on to the review, and I am still aware of your questions, so I'll be answering those parts when we get there. Alright, so As you can see on the kit, everything you see here, everything except for the eyes and the sticker cameras, everything you see is color separated. No stickers. These are all color separated. I was really impressed by the fact that, well, this was technically kind of shown early, but even the beam cannons on the chest and even on the ones, oops, sorry about that, the ones on the back, like here, you see the red, the red, the green, and everything you see inside, they're all color separated parts. So that is something really impressive. So the Reborns 100 or the full mechanics line, they have been improving a lot. I will admit, the first original ones, they weren't really that great because, number one, I believe some of them were sticker heavy, and number two, some of them had some stability issues where they would get loose pretty easily, and I believe one of the worst examples was kind of like the gun cannon detector. I was really happy for that kit to come out, but it didn't last long. Alright, so the head. Let's start with the head. Definitely loving the head design. Definitely a unique one if you ask me. So the vents on the inside are also color separated parts. The eyes are the only stickers. The red section you see is also a red piece. And then the V-fin, pretty simple looking V-fin. It's a single piece. There's no piece that you have to put on top. And then as you can see, you have the head camera and on the back there should be a smaller one. So the head can go down that much, pretty okay, and then up, not so much. That's as far as I can tell. You can see there's another separate neck joint, so you can go forward and backward for the head. 360, I'm gonna say it's not gonna be easy because you can see there are parts colliding with each other and it's pretty stuck in there. So unless you kind of force it, there's no 360. And even though you do go 360 or looking directly back, you're not gonna be able to see it because, you know, there's a big chunk on the back. Alright, so now looking at the chest, it was really fun building the main body. Well, I always have fun building the main body here. It's because you see the inside, those black vents, you can see actually some inside detail. You can see those linings going on, and that looks extremely cool. So the body does have some articulation, so you can go side to side like that. There is actually a joint, and then you can go forward and back. You have a kind of an ab crunch, but here's the interesting part. So I'm not sure if I can show you guys this properly, but when you move the main body forward, this is actually mentioned in the manual. If my camera could focus properly, when you move the body forward, the front skirt on the middle actually moves together, like that. You can see. I hope you can see that. It's a strange feature, but it kind of moves with the body, so that's one thing. And this part is the only part that I would consider to be like the most loose area. Not exactly loose, it's just that sometimes it will move kind of on its own when you're not expecting it, but you can always put it back together. So not a big deal if you ask me. So that was pretty cool. And since we have all this stuff going on, I guess let's go to the back so we can just make some few spaces going on here. So here is the backpack. So a huge backpack. We have these thrusters that can move together. Now they may look like they will move separately, but no, they actually move together. And the back with these cannons. Now apparently these weapons actually uses a lot of these German terms, and I believe these ones are called the Schlang, according to the manual. The Schlang, something like that, but the Schlang means hit or lightning strike, according to the manual. So the back cannons are also pretty good in terms of articulation. Usually they would be like stable or stuck, but no, the cannons can move side to side like that. That's very good. And then because they are actually on a peg, and the way how they peg in, they're not actually what you think they are. So the way how they work is that you have this part here that can move forward and backward, and then you have this peg that goes on here, which allows you to go side to side movement. So that is pretty good. So you can move side to side. It's not a lot depending on how you move it, but yeah. And then you can move it forward and backwards. You can go back that much, and then forward exactly, I believe, exactly 90 degrees to the front. So that is pretty good. And now another question that a lot of people have been asking, and I am once again extremely or terribly sorry that I cannot show you guys the best example. So apparently you can actually take this back off. So there's a reason why I actually showed you guys a picture of the back last night while building this kit. So a lot of people were asking, and even before release, a lot of people were trying to figure out whether you can fit a striker pack onto the backpack. Now I actually have seen one picture that that you can attach this backpack, and recently another friend showed me that you can attach the Freedom Gundam 2.0's wings onto the back. Although once again, I do not own those kits, so yeah. And so far, the only kit that is actually close to a strike Gundam among the MGs I have is the Testament Gundam. And as far as I know, this is the exact same back as the Strike Gundam, because according to the manual, this kit can actually use the IWSP pack, which is also for a Strike Gundam, onto this kit. So which means without any part, you know, changing. Which, with that logic, that means this part, which should have the same, you know, this peg should be the exact same, you know, size, or at least the width of it should be the same for a striker pack, as far as I know. But when I actually go here, the hole is slightly larger. It's a little bit bigger. Although, to be fair, on the Testament Gundam, there is an extra polycap inside to catch this in. So I am thinking that you are able to fit it, but it might not be a perfect fit. So I do want to mention that as well. Now keep in mind, it's just a Calamity Gundam, so I'm pretty sure these people who want to know are just asking for customization purpose. But I don't think that's going to be a deal breaker as well. So I am really sorry that I cannot show you guys this. I do have a pack for the Asteroid Red frame, but that's a whole different connection. I've already checked as well. So yeah, once again, I'm terribly sorry that I cannot show you guys this. But yeah, it seems like you might be able to fit the connection here, but it's not going to be a perfect fit based on the, you know, parts I have at the moment. I mean, if it does fit perfectly, do let me know in the comments. But that's all I can say for now. It's not, you can fit it in, but it's not going to be a perfect fit. You're going to need like an extra adapter, or maybe you need to like do something else. Alright, so that's that. So the main reason why I also put back the backpack right away is to show you guys the shoulder articulation. So the shoulder articulation is pretty good, well, with all this stuff going on here. So you can move forward and backward, but you can also extend the shoulder joints like this. You can extend it like that, and you can move even forward and backward even more. And another thing is that I'm pretty sure we will be getting a sort of Calamity. Ooh, sorry about that. So this does not exactly a loose part, because I had to actually, before filming, I've noticed I did something wrong with the shoulder, so I was trying to replace that. So these parts are actually clipped on here. They're not exactly connected to the main arm. They're just actually clipped onto the top section of a joint here. So which makes me think they actually did that on purpose to make another new shoulder and connect it easily without making a huge different mold here. So the shoulder arm will move on its own as well, and then you have this part that flaps around side to side. 360 twist is possible on the entire arm, and then you do have your rotation on the actual arm itself. Well, not exactly 360, because as you can see here, this part is actually colliding with the part there, so you can't go 360. And then we have a nice bend going on here, but be careful, because you know what, let me just take off this part just to give you guys an example. There we go. So the arm bend can go like this. You do have a double jointed arm bend, but once again, these flaps here are going to collide with each other. So if you don't want to break anything, do be careful when you're like moving the arms. As long as you know what parts move until where, you are capable of doing that. So you can see you're gonna have to move this a little bit to the side, and then you can go. So just be careful, because breaking a kit it's never fun. Alright, so and I already showed you guys the ab crunch articulation. So now let's get the other arm. So since we're on the arms, let's look at the shield here. So the interesting part of the shield is that it's a very huge shield, and it actually has cannons, but they're not fixed to the front. They can actually bend out. So this now to some people this may seem a little bit silly, but at the same time this is actually very efficient. You can actually have the shield blocking and still shoot forward. So that is very good, if you ask me. And another thing I would like to point out, now mine are moving together. But if you don't like this aspect, in the joint here on the middle, these two are actually connected like a front skirt part, where there's two ball joints connected on the middle. So if you want them to move separately, you can always separate that middle. You can always separate the two joints and move them individually. So it's up to you. And I do like this connection here. So you have the handle here, and then you have another connector here. So it will, once you have it in, it will always stay inside. But if you don't like that, once again, I'm not sure if I can do this at the moment. But give me a moment. Yeah, actually I'll show you guys that later, because you are able to, if you just want to use the handle, you are able to like slide this up and down-ish. So I'll show you guys that later, because it's pretty stuck in there at the moment. Alright, now let's get the front skirt as well. The front skirt, they are individual pieces. They come like that as well, so they do move forward pretty well. Side skirts also move pretty well, although they do feel the way how they're connected, they're a little bit too, how should I say, not loose, but they do feel a little bit light. And then the back skirt, once again, pretty uncommonly, this actually, the back skirt does move as well. And while they are moving together on mine, if you don't like that, there's also another ball joints that are connected on the middle. So if you want to make them move individually, you can do that as well. So you can see they actually put in some consideration a lot in this kit as well. And keep in mind, for those who still don't remember, the original purpose of Reborn's 100 kits, for Reborn's 100 for example, is to make mobile suits that would be, if they made it into master grade, it would be either too expensive or just engineering is just a problematic thing. So mobile suits like that will be made into Reborn's 100, so at least you will get a 1-to-100 scale kit of it, just not in master grade. So yeah. So I guess with this guy out, there's a very low chance of a master grade Calamity Gundam happening. So far, there is only one single mobile suit that actually collabs between the Reborn's 100 or full mechanics with the master grade, and that is the Barbatos. Other than that, there is no other kit that has both Reborn's 100 or full mechanics and a master grade. Now, once again, because full mechanics showed up in the Iron-Blooded Orphans series, but other than that, yeah. Before that, we had a Reborn's 100, and a lot of people just considered it to be the same, just different name. And to me, by looking at the lineup, once again, Reborn's 100 is UC, or Universal Sentry. Full Mechanics is non-Universal Sentry. Just saying. That's my opinion. Okay, so now the legs. Once again, we have this similar situation where you have this joint here, but if you don't like the position, you can always, let me just take this off just to show you. If you don't like the position, you can always push it all the way back so you can change the position of the legs. Now, I usually don't do this on camera because I don't want to break anything, and usually I tend to leave it as is because I'm always satisfied with this position. And we have a nice side swivel going on here. And then you can give a kick very well. Whoops. Don't go too far or you will pop off the front skirt. That was kind of unexpected, but okay. So let me just put that back in. There we go. So I say 90 degrees is the proper measurement, and then back, yeah, not so much because of the back skirt, so you're gonna have to go to the side to go even a little bit more, but once again, you're going in an angle, so that's that. So once again, I just wanted to mention all the color separation has been done very well. Now, the only part that I find a little bit odd is that this could be for the later Sword Calamity Gundam, is that when you're attaching these parts here, now there's 4 parts, but 2 of them are just a single piece. But the other 2, I believe, which are the ones on the outside, you have this green piece, and we have this other piece on the bottom, which is the same color. You attach it for some reason. So this could be, an indication for a future, variant. There is another Calamity variant, which I highly doubt it's going to happen, but if it does, it's going to be really cool. Other than the Sword Calamity. And then when it comes to bend-wise, we have a nice bend going on here for the legs, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the thrusters on the back of the legs do move up and down a little bit as well. Now, there's not much of a full-fledged inner frame on this kit. There are some empty, well, I would not call them empty. It's just that it's not like a inner frame. So if I had to give you guys another example of how the build quality is, it's like building a high, let's say there was a certain kit from the HGUC line, they made a revived version of it, and it's like a 1-to-1 scale of that revived version. So yeah, it's pretty good if you ask me. And let's see what we got. So the flaps here, they only move up, they don't go down. And then for the feet, they are they're not ball joints. Now, since the Reborn's 100, they tried to not use too many ball joints because once again, this kit does not use any polycaps, and while polycaps do have their advantages when it comes to ball joints, while there are certain kits that don't use any polycaps but use ball joints, but there is a high chance of breaking it by accident. So ever since that happened, they kind of went with all these joints going on here. So you have which still gives you a nice pivot as well, and you can still go forward and backward. You do have a small toe bend going on here, but that goes a little bit more, that barely goes down, and then that goes slightly up, but not a big deal. I don't think that's going to take too much in terms of the articulation. And then let's see if we can go side to side. Yes, the feet can also go side to side. Rotate, I'm not going to suggest because once again the parts are colliding, so it's not meant to rotate 360. Alright, so once again, so I would say the build quality was excellent. I was actually surprised by how much they did with the color separation parts. And yeah, now we've seen the basics of the kit. Now let's get the bazooka for now. Now the bazooka, I really like the design of this. Now I'm not saying I hate the bazooka, but when I first saw this move, so the only part that just really seemed off was the bazooka. Not in terms of design, it's just like you have all these beam cannons and then you just randomly have this bazooka here. It just seems really out of place, and I don't like the fact that the bazooka will be always colliding with the back cannons. It's gonna be constantly fighting unless you like really position the arms in a specific way. And yeah, that's just one part that I'm not a big fan of. I think I do understand having both the beam type weapons and actual physical ammo type. There is actually used for both, but I feel like the bazooka just doesn't really look right. I think he should have had something a little bit more, something shorter, maybe like a missile launcher or something like that. But still, it's okay. It's a good bazooka. I wouldn't mind having another bazooka like this for a different purpose. And the fun part is that this kind of actually works like a ammo clip on the back. You can you can pull it out like that. So pretty good. All right. So in terms of posing, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be using those cannons. Now, having that extra ab crunch on the joint will help to to bend down, so you can actually point the the cannons a little bit more intensely. Or if you don't like that, you can always just go straight and then just make them look forward as well. So it's really up to you. Alright, so once again, I'll be right back with some demonstrations, and I'll be taking off the shield to show you guys how the handle works. Okay, I'm back. So for now, I kind of posed it was in this position where he's firing all of his weapons. Of course, I did take off the shield just to show you guys something. But as you can see, there was the bazooka. You don't need to always hold the bazooka on top of the shoulder. You can always put the shoulder under the armpit area, because thanks to that extra extension on the shoulder joints, it is much easier to do so. And I do actually prefer displaying it like this, because it's not colliding with the back of the cannons. Another thing I forgot to mention is on the arms and the legs is that you can actually go to the side pretty well, about 90 degrees to the side, so you should have no problem as well for that. And the legs are technically, you can go to the side 90 degrees, but of course, do be careful not to break anything. So if you don't have the back skirt, you are able to go 90 degrees to the side, but once again, if you have the back side skirt on, you are going to be slightly limited as well. So just be aware of it and make sure not to break anything. So another thing I forgot to mention on the arms is that, there we go. So as I mentioned, the hands are your typical ball jointed hands, but there is on this lower arm here, there is like another ball joint connection ish here. It's kind of like a ball joint, but still you can kind of wiggle it around, so which does help you with like certain poses. Alright, so before we attach the shield one more time, so here is the shield. Once again, the articulation, how it works. So the beam cannons can look almost straight. It's maybe missing maybe 1 or 2 degrees. But if you don't like these two cannons moving together, you can always separate the ball joint on the middle. So that is a possibility to make them individually. So here is the handle. So number one, here is the connector part that connects to the back of the arm. And I would like to point out each arm does have that connection here. So if you want to attach it to the other arm, that's your choice. Or if you can buy 2 of these kits and have both of the double shield cannons as well, if you want to do so. And let's see, the handles can move forward and backward like that. So if you don't want to use the handle, you can technically just keep it like this in a way, or you can just you can just not use it as well. So you can just clip this out. So you can move forward and backward, and thanks to this rotation part, it is much easier to attach the shield than you think. So the manual kind of tells you to put the handle first into the hand and then connect the connector. So, but for me, I think it's much more easier to connect the connector here onto the arm first. But of course, maybe do something like this. So you might have seen this something similar on other kits, where if I can actually get it on properly. There we go. So you do that, find the position, and then just slide it in. Of course, be careful of the thumb. There we go. And thanks to the extra wrist movements, plugging into the shield handle into the shield should be no problem as well. And once again, you can always pose this guy as if he's firing all weapons at once, and that is really cool if you ask me. And that's pretty much it for the review. So once again, the best way I can say this is, if you want to try out a 1-to-1 skill but that's not a mass grade, this is a pretty good start if you ask me, because this thing doesn't use any polycaps. The color separation is excellent, and there is some, I guess, customization value, because people are still experimenting or still checking if they could attach a striker pack. But I don't think that is the main deal breaker. That is not the main deal breaker. If it does, that's a good thing. If it doesn't, oh well. But I would like to say this is a pretty good kit. The build is very solid. The color separation is excellent. Obviously, there are going to be some nub marks, but once again, that's if you're building Gunpla, that's always a thing. So no need to worry about that. And yeah, I would highly recommend this. Although I'm not gonna say this is the best non-master grade 1-100 skill. That will always go to the Gun Easy. But yeah, this is also a pretty good start, and I'm really excited to see a possible Premium Bandai exclusive Sword Calamity, and the future, you know, the rest of the 2 units to finish the trio, which is the Raider Gundam and the Forbidden Gundam. So hopefully those 2 will happen as well. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the Full Mechanics 1-100 scale Calamity Gundam. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.